All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Jew, and I'm here with Master Jew.
Welcome, Mr. Jew.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. All right, today we're going to be discussing, this is, again, also something that's really regional to us, but it can happen to you. And I think it can...
Maybe, but we're not even 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that.
Well, California's ahead of the game always, and I heard we are now the fourth largest economy in the world. We overtook Japan the other day.
To
so
California.
Yeah,
Come to California.
California is the
Get
best.
taxed.
But we are the best, so...
The sunny state.
Yeah.
Did they say that about Florida?
Yeah, Sunshine State
Sunshine
is
State.
Florida.
Everyone's moving out of there.
Yeah.
They're coming to California.
So,
Anyway,
you know what?
let's go on. Let's move on.
Before it gets too political.
Oh, I think this is going to be political. Oh, no.
All right, so,
Yeah.
California is always making these kind of like
Crazy
laws and rules and everything. And so recently, I've talked to some of the school systems. And at the time, it didn't really make much sense. I know a lot of martial arts schools, they say, get into your local schools.
Talk to the PTA.
Yeah, PTA, be like a PE instructor once in a while, spread Taekwondo. And that is such a great thing to do because you can instill a lot of Taekwondo principles to people that don't do Taekwondo, right? And learning that respect, confidence, discipline, right?
Yeah,
And
sell them what a Taekwondo is.
Taekwondo just has a lot of benefits. But, recently I was turned down. They said that they don't do that. And I was like, oh, okay. It's not something like I understand. Maybe they have a certain curriculum they want to do.
Right.
And that's okay. But then we also had another student recently. He's in high school. And he said, they don't want to teach martial arts because it promotes violence, right? And kind of in the area we live, I would say it's a nice area. People come here for the schools, but we've also heard there's been an increase in violence here, especially at the schools. A little bit more fighting, and that's not to say that fighting didn't happen before, but some of the middle schoolers go, "Oh, yeah, we have fights, right?" And so there's two logics here. Why do we do Taekwondo? Does it promote violence? But at the same time, we also need Taekwondo because we need to protect ourselves.
Right. I was kind of surprised to hear that as well, and I'm not sure of the actual policy because we have to actually.
We got to do some more research. So we're just speaking out from what we've heard.
Right.
And obviously it could change, but let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Does Taekwondo promote violence?
I would definitely say that I've done PE classes for the schools. They invited us to come and do it. And that's cool. Get to spread Taekwondo to a lot of, to some students. I used to do after-school programs, and we did it at the middle school, elementary schools, high school, and we taught a little program there. And now you're saying, no, we don't want you to do that.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Is it the reason? We don't really know for sure, but it does kind of make sense. So when our students said, well, it kind of promotes violence, I go, well, you're right, it does. I mean, not promote violence, but what we do teach is how to destroy things. Break boards. Well, what does breaking boards mean? Breaking people, breaking arms, or, hurting people in a way. We show self-defense techniques where you kick them in the groin, you kick them in the shin, you poke them in the eye, all of this stuff. And in a way, yeah, absolutely. What we are doing is teaching how to hurt people in a way, right? But then on the other hand, we do have this code of conduct, right? We have the tenets of Taekwondo: courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control. And if you're not practicing that, you're not doing Taekwondo. We have the student oath: I shall never misuse Taekwondo, right? I shall build a more peaceful world. Those kind of things. And I think that does need to be discussed, and it should be taught within our dojons, because I think that's a very important lesson to be done.
I always bring that up to students that do sparring. You have to have a level of respect for each other.
Right.
Sometimes we have a big kid with a little kid. Yes, that big kid could blow that little kid away. Just kick him once, that kid goes
Always
flying.
happens.
Yeah, but there's a level of respect.
Because it feels awesome.
Yeah, there's a level of respect that you have to have for your partner, and to come in every day and to bow to each other
Right.
and say, hey, we're going to play nice, we're going to push each other to the limits, but we're still going to respect each other in a safe way. That teaches a lot to the students, right? And if you don't have that, then that little kid is not going to come back. That kid that's not as good as that other guy, not
Right.
going to come back. And I think that's something that you have to learn through Taekwondo in the
Absolutely.
respect sense.
So Taekwondo is not just about kicking and punching, really. And I think we talked about that. President Che talks about that a lot, Taekwondo. A lot of people do Taekwondo, but they don't do Do. What does that mean? Foot, hand, but no Do. What is Do? Do is the art, the way. This is the way. That's the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Taekwondo, this is the way.
yeah. They're making a new movie for him.
Are they?
And it's like 2026, I think.
Oh.
The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, I hope it's going to be a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I had to say, I did watch the Disney Plus version. It was okay. Definitely not too exciting.
The first 2 seasons, I think, were pretty good.
A little bit more exciting.
Yeah, I think they
It's
kind
been
of
a
veered
while.
off on the
Anyway,
third one.
that's not Taekwondo.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Yeah.
That's how we got to it. But yeah, it's interesting because if Taekwondo is about who we are and a way of life, we hear that a lot. And it's interesting because I find it interesting because I do know a lot of schools, not just Taekwondo schools, but maybe traditional, and they're kind of going away from this traditional kind of an idea, eliminating forms. Are they also eliminating these ideas, courtesy? Because when you look at some schools, they don't have a uniform. They just show up, just work out. It just becomes a workout. Let's get a bag.
Well, that's why, as an instructor, it's important about talking about these kind of life skills for the students. Respect, courtesy.
It's not too exciting though.
No, but that's part of
part
the
of it.
Taekwondo, right?
Absolutely.
And I could go do boxing, and yes, I can hit pretty hard. I can go do MMA, but that's what the traditional part. Whether you're wearing the uniform or not, whether I'm putting on pads or not, and boxers can do the same thing, right? As if you're talking about these kind of principles and how to be a better person and how to have respect for each other,
Absolutely.
right?
But I
it
think-
it's just that Taekwondo has it ingrained into the student oath, the tenets, right?
Right, exactly. And so I'm kind of wondering if the schools feel like a lot of fights are happening because, and maybe these fights they're pretty skilled. Maybe they are learning some kind of martial art, but they're not being respectful.
Yeah,
They're not, fully realizing. And that's something that you kind of have to learn. It's over the years that you probably would understand that, I think.
Well, let's bring it back to the fights because that's what we started with. I think one of the biggest things is you could prevent people from learning martial arts, just say martial arts in general. But I think the thing is that there's always going to be these fights.
Oh, absolutely.
And whether that person, that bad kid, learns boxing, learns martial arts, learns taekwondo, learns karate, doesn't matter. They take the head and knock him into the ground.
gonna happen.
That's not even martial arts. It's just a fight, right?
It's just a fight.
And so you take away people's ability to maybe learn martial arts or develop an interest for it. Really, what you're doing is you're hurting the good kids. You're hurting the ones
No,
that.
I've heard that before.
What?
I've heard that before.
Really?
Taking your rights away.
Okay, well, this one already. But
It only hurts the good guy. It doesn't hurt the bad guy.
It really hurts the good ones. I mean, they're not the ones. They're the ones that's gonna get picked on.
Yeah, good and evil has always been around since the beginning of mankind, and it's always going to be that way. And so, hopefully, Taekwondo, we don't teach to go hurt people. What we do is we do teach how to defend
yourself.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And that defending of ourselves could result in hurting somebody. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is. You have to understand that. And you have to, in order to be a good person, right? It's kind of like being a police officer. They have the ability to hurt people, but they should also know what is correct and what's incorrect. Where a bad guy just wants to hurt somebody. They don't care if it's correct or incorrect, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you look at let's say guns, right? And so both good and bad
That's why you
guys
should
can
come to
have
California.
guns because we have strict gun laws.
That's right.
Okay. Both bad and good guys can have guns, right?
Right.
What makes the difference between it? Well, the good guy, they know. They have judgment about, what's right, what's wrong. They've done the trainings. They know the 3 rules of how to handle a firearm. And they do it in this hopefully safe kind of manner, right?
Right.
But in an equal sense, they're pretty much almost the same person.
Right.
But one has rules and one has training and one has
No rules.
one has no rules.
And
right?
could have training.
Well, maybe, yeah. Yeah.
The thing I would say is that I keep kind of saying that when sometimes you do have students that their intentions of doing taekwondo maybe is more like, oh, I want to maybe learn how to hurt somebody or something. Most of those guys don't stay because we're always doing this kind of respecting people and, just those little things. And there's subtle things that, a bad guy just doesn't want to spend their time doing that.
Yeah.
They just want to spend their time breaking, smashing, or whatever. So we don't, generally, people that do martial art, I would even just say martial art, traditional martial art, I would say, not just taekwondo, that there is this code of ethic,
Yeah.
right?
That's what makes us different.
That's what makes us different.
And I think that's what.
And it's unfortunate that the schools don't want to promote that.
Yeah.
That's really what it's kind of
Well,
saying.
yeah, but at the same time, you also, it's if you have a bad kid in that class and you're showing them things, do they get kind of excited to do that? Yeah, maybe.
And
it's
in
a
our
double-edged
class,
sword.
we get all the high ranks and beat them up.
There we go. Okay.
No, we don't do that.
All right, so let's know you guys' thoughts on, martial arts. Does it promote violence, right? What should we be doing as a school? And as always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Take one.